Hey guys, we are back discussing Proverbs again, this time with Amanda. It's been a while since we've done a review with Amanda, but we are back and we're doing this again. And we went a full 2 weeks this time without talking with her because we talked a lot about the people to have in your friends group. It's of great importance in the book of Proverbs. Solomon covers it a lot. And so we found ourselves in 10 whole sessions talking about people to have in and people to leave out of our friends group. And when I finished doing the videos for those 10 videos, I got to thinking about the book Pilgrim's Progress. My wife just told me that on pilgrimsprogress.com you can actually download or watch the movie for free, the new one. And we had the students here watching it one time, and now that you can view it for free, I feel like I can say this. If you've read the book or watched the movie, you know that Pilgrim, when he's on his journey toward heaven, he's going to eventually walking the Christian way. And as he's walking in the way, he runs into a lot of different people that walk with him for a short distance. Some of them are good friends that take him in the right way. Some of them are bad friends who cause him to do really bad things. And you notice that in his encounters, he goes in either a good direction or bad direction based on who he's with, until he eventually runs into a friend named Faithful. And this friend named Faithful is a fantastic friend for him, and he journeys a good ways with him. And so I would encourage you to go, since you can watch that for free, to get on pilgrimsprogress.com and look that up. But also read the book. There's some in the book that's not in the movie, and it's a fantastic resource. But it really made me think about, I know it's an allegory for the Christian life, but it really made me think about how friends really shape us in our journey in the Christian life.
We like to think we're individuals and that we can live in a world and be around people and not be influenced by them. But we're influenced by them.
We are.
We are heavily influenced by them.
We are. We're very influenced by them.
And Christian was influenced by people he was around.
Mm-hmm. We have both had experiences with good and bad friends in our lives. You heard a little bit of it from me during the teaching videos, that I've had good and bad friends in our lives. It's important to have friends in our lives. And we've gone through times of solitude. And I know that when I was with friends that did that partied and did things that I knew that I wasn't supposed to do, it was very easy for me to get involved in those things. Mm-hmm. Very hard for me not to do those things. Mm-hmm. And there's a tremendous influence in the Christian life that a person can have.
Right. One of the lessons that you did talked about the loyal and truthful friend, and that was in one session. And I love that it is not just loyal and then truthful, but they are paired together, because some of the most fiercely loyal friends I have ever had in my life were not truthful in how they didn't see the world through a Christian worldview. So right. I think that's an important to pair those two together.
Because a loyal friend who's not truthful would really be the flatterer we got at the end of it. Yeah. The loyal friend who's not willing or going to tell us the truth would in a lot of ways be the flatterer who's going to let us, fall into the net and be trapped.
And oddly enough, they can easily fall into the hot-tempered category too, because they're so fiercely loyal to your cause, and they flatter you in what you believe in the actions you are taking apart from the truth. Then all of a sudden you've got somebody who's like, yeah, that person's a jerk, and really you're the one messing up. So.
Yeah. This is an interesting discussion too. We don't want to hear. I don't know of anyone that wants to hear the bad things that they are doing. I don't know anybody who wants to hear how wrong they are in a topic, and it's really hard for us to want to surround ourselves with people who are truthful. Mm-hmm. So it's a.
But on the flip side of that, when you surround yourself with people who are truthful, they rub off on you, and you are not, you don't fall into so many of these bad categories. Right. So, some of our closest friends are Eric and Sarah Green, and I can't think of the last time that we really had to correct each other, and it's because we, not that we're flattering each other, but it's that we're lifting each other up.
Right.
And we hold each other accountable to the scriptures.
Which, by the way, Eric has been jealous for about a week or a week and a half. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a while. He's been jealous because I mentioned a different friend in one of the videos. And it wasn't him. So, there you go. We mentioned Eric and not the other person. So.
Well, I think it is worth noting, Eric, that you are Dwayne's best friend. By far. Okay.
There you go.
So, there you go.
So.
And Sarah, you're my best friend.
There you go. we just had to deal with Eric's jealousy.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah. So, we are told to leave the fool out of our friends group, and that is an interesting thing to say because it really encompasses the entirety of the Proverbs study. It's an interesting thing to look at because we are identifying wise and foolish behaviors as we discuss the book of Proverbs, and the fool is just supposed to be left out. They're not supposed to be one of your closest friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if they even belong in your outer circle.
The fool.
The fool.
And I said early on that my football coach used to say, if you run with the dogs, you get their ticks. Amanda mentioned you have good friends and their good behaviors rub off on you. You have bad friends and their bad behaviors rub off on you. If you run with the dogs, you get their ticks. Sometimes their ticks are good.
Yeah. Ladybugs.
So...
another good thing to think about is, do you fall into any of these negative categories? Because, who doesn't love a juicy piece of gossip? Maybe boys don't care as much, but girls, we love that juicy piece of gossip. So, being mindful of, not falling into these categories and not being a person who gossips with your friends and takes their juicy information and spreads it around, but being a person who is of wise counsel and who can... take that counsel and put it in the vault.
That's right. We talked about hot-tempered. You made a Seinfeld reference.
I did.
You talked about gossip, and I think hot-tempered runs in the same vein because those are two behaviors that when a gossip session starts, everybody kind of wants in on the gossip. It kind of feeds something in us, and we want to do that. But I think the hot-tempered person does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
The anger and the hot-temperedness rubs off on people, and it kind of builds into other people and spreads throughout the group and becomes a real issue.
And when you are not that hot-tempered person, but you're encountering somebody who is, and you're talking to that person, it's kind of interesting to watch your demeanor change. It molds you because they're so passionate. They're so passionate about it, and their passion rises as you don't. So it sucks you in. It really does.
It does. So, and I think that's the way the fool works within our lives. You leave the fool out, and one of the ways we said we identify the fool is that they're hot-tempered, they're gossip, they're a flatterer. And so those are people we leave out of our friends group. Our closest friends can't be hot-tempered gossips, flatterers. The fool needs to be left out. And it's because that their behavior rubs off on us so much. The influence of a friend is very strong. Amanda mentioned also not being not participating in these types of activities. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next week or so as we go through our own personal behavior in the Proverbs, that we leave these people out so that they don't influence us in the wrong way, and then we need to also be working on doing things the right way.
And talking about the having few friends versus having lots of friends and not being a loner, but Dwayne, what do you do when you realize that your entire friend group falls into these categories? I know I had a time like that in college, and I had to make some changes, and then I was very lonely. A loner, one might say. What do you do?
Well, I think what we need to do is put ourselves in the situation where we will find friends that we need to have.
Yes.
So if you find that you're being alone and that you are alone at that point, where do you need to be to find friends that are believers, that are not fools?
Clubbing.
Not clubbing.
I'm sorry.
No. So
no, church.
Church. Other Christian groups that maybe are meeting or are doing these things. You need to put yourself in a place where you're going to be able to find these Christian friends.
Or even just community activities, you know. My son is excited. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah. He scared us. You probably saw us both look that way earlier. So, they're screaming and chasing each other right now.
Okay.
We need to put ourselves in places where there are going to be believers that are present, and trying to put ourselves in that way. But there is a time, and will likely be a time, where you feel alone. Being in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic does give us an opportunity to sit back and to think about things in our lives that need to change. And it gives us an opportunity to change those things. There are a few times in our lives where everything just kind of gets put on pause. I can't think of another time in my life that's been this way. Transitions in our lives, like when we're moving from high school to college, maybe another time where you have an easy opportunity to do this. But right now, it's just like everything has stopped, and you have the opportunity to think about whether or not what you're doing is what you want to have done with your life.
Yes. Over the summer, too. I mean, this is just perfection. It is really where you can look at your life and go, reset, you know, and you just, you know, fade, as I think your terminology earlier was, fade them to the outer circle. And as things open back up, make sure that you are surrounding yourself by people who are of a higher caliber, of a Christian worldview, and go from there. You will be lonely. Lean on your family if your family is Christian. Lean on your church family. Lean on us as well.
Right. And another thing that we'll have to keep in mind as well is that wise people are not going to want to hang out with fools. Yeah. And so if you're wanting to have wise friends, then you're going to have to start walking wisely yourself. And a person who is truly seeking after the Lord and wanting to have wise friendships will in no way look at you and say, yeah, I'll be your friend if you're acting like the worst fool on the planet. So that is to say, put yourself in those situations that you'll meet more Christian friends. Mm-hmm. Don't act like a fool. Don't be a fool. Try to act wise. And the other thing is realize that you might be alone for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But this isn't the way that you're going to live your life from here on out. It's, I've made some changes, and for this time period, that's the way things are.
Mm-hmm. And there may be relationships where you look at it and you see that you're kind of the alpha among this group of people, and maybe that group of people are actually Christians. They're just, maybe they're following your lead, or maybe you guys are just all in this together as far as you haven't been making the wisest of choices. Talk to your parents, talk to us. We can help you navigate those waters, but I know when I made choices, like when I chose to change, my children are so loud, when I chose to change my group of friends because I wasn't surrounded by positive influences, there were a few people that were Christians but were floundering like me, and we took that path together. So you don't have to abandon everybody who's not, completely out of these categories, but you do need to evaluate it and see what can be done. So right. I hope that made sense. Lots of screaming going on behind me.
Yes, lots of screaming. Kids are having fun.
Yeah. My autistic child is playing with his sister. It's hard to get mad about that.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. We talked about Jesus at the end, how Jesus is the ultimate friend. He is no fool. He is the wise. He is wisdom incarnate, the wisest of wise people. That's who Jesus is, and he is the ultimate of the good friends. And we saw that at the very end. He is loyal where people can be disloyal. He tells us the truth. We see in him the truth, and so. At the end of this, talking about friends, I want to make sure that we've linked that to Christ and understand full well that what we're saying is Jesus is the ultimate friend. When he says you've gone from being that you're now friends through his death and through his life and through his resurrection, we are now friends of God and we are now his friends. When he says those things, that is a great benefit to us, that we can go to him. We'll lean on him. He's always going to be loyal. He's always going to be take care of us. Those sorts of things. He is dependable. He is reliable, and
he's in control.
And he
will shape your friend group.
Right.
You lean on him, and there will be people around you also doing that, and he will shape your friend group.
Right. Very good.
All right.